Welcome back to Heights of Healing. Today's episode is a special one because we'll be talking about the process behind bringing my book, The Gray Area, You're Stuck and You Don't Know It, to life. Writing a book is a journey in itself, and I couldn't have done it without the help of an amazing editor. If you're ever wondering how books go from concept to reality, or if you're working on your own project, you won't want to miss this conversation. Our guest today is Leslie Quander Wooldridge, a talented and award-winning writer, editor, and consultant who helped shape the book into what it is today. With her extensive experience in editing and content creation for diverse audiences, Leslie was instrumental in bringing clarity and flow to the book, ensuring the message would resonate with readers. I'm so thrilled to have her here to share her thoughts about the writing and editing process. Leslie, welcome to Heights of Healing.
Wow, thank you so much. That was such a nice intro. I really appreciate it. And I'm so honored to be on your podcast. This is very exciting.
Thank you. So I want to jump right in because,
Okay.
and again, I want to thank you for helping me through this process and pulling things out of me. So
Oh, thank you.
from your thought process, tell me, what is the biggest mistake you see aspiring authors make and how can they avoid it?
I think that's a really good question. And I just want to say, too, if you are out there and you're thinking about writing a book, that actually is a really great sign. Lean into that, because a big mistake that I think authors make or would-be authors make is that they can't do it. They think that they can't do it. And you know a lot about this. This is your line of work, psychology. You're a therapist. Your mind is so powerful. And if you start doubting yourself and letting those doubts creep in, you can really keep yourself from things that are for you. So one big mistake is thinking that you can't do it. Another big mistake I think that potential authors have is that they think that just because they don't know how, they can't learn how. And so I would say, if you're out there and you're a writer and you're feeling stuck, that's not the end of the process. You can work with somebody. And actually, I wonder, you tell me, I think a lot of people don't know that you can actually hire someone to help you as a writing coach. I do that as well. But you can hire someone to help you kind of develop ideas. You can hire someone just to edit if you have something down. You can hire someone to give you feedback. So not knowing is not a reason to quit. So another big mistake is not being willing to ask for help. And a lot of us, we're very, self-reliant. We know what we're doing. We're experts in our own fields, but it's okay to ask for help. And I'm reminding myself that too.
That's good, because what I noticed is that when I came up with the concept, you know what, I want to write a book. I knew the framework and I knew what I wanted to write about, but I just didn't know how to get it out and put it on paper. I think I had maybe 10 pieces of paper, but then when I came to you, you were able to tap into my inner thoughts, if you will. You were able to pull some things by asking me questions as far as what direction do you want this book to go in? What are you trying to say to the audience? What population you're trying to reach?
Yeah.
What are some other things that you think that could help a potential author bring what they have on the inside out?
That is a really good question. It's also fun for me because I interview people for a living, so to be on the other side of it is always a good time. You made a really good point. You do really want to know who your audience is, right? So let's just say that up front. You want to know who you're talking to, because you want to shape the book in a way that's going to resonate with them, and you need to know who you're speaking with in order to do that. You do want to know what your goal is, as you mentioned. You do want to know why you're doing this, what your hope is. And, it can be different if we're talking about, because there are different kinds of books, right? Nonfiction versus fiction. Obviously, if you're writing something that's fictional, you want to know what's going to happen. You want to know the end. You don't want to just be out here. And this kind of goes for nonfiction too. You want to have a plan. And I think what you said is kind of making me think of that. You don't want to just sit down and not have a path and not have like an outline, let's say, right? Like you want to be able to outline, okay, this is what I want to accomplish. Here, and here, and then be able to follow through. And of course, it's okay to deviate. Sometimes books can take you in different directions. Sometimes you can start and say, actually, I think I want to go over here, but you want to start with some sort of plan. I think that's really important. There are all sorts of other questions. This is not exhaustive. Obviously, we live in a world now where it's very easy to publish your own book, right? And that's actually a gift. to authors. People didn't have that before. You know, even when it comes to things like blogging, like back in the day, where were blogs? Like everyone was trying to, you know, get in anthologies and get in magazines, and now you can do your own thing. So you kind of have to decide for yourself too, if you want to write a book, okay, is this something that I want to do for myself? Am I willing to hire a team to help me? Because I would suggest having one, right? Because writing a book is a big deal. Or is this something that you want to get a traditional publisher for? And if you're going the traditional route, the rules are different. The process is different. There are benefits and minuses to each, but I think that's something that you should consider in the earlier in the process, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't just have pieces of paper like I did scattered everywhere and just say, hey, I want to write a book, they'll go my book, and let's go for it.
No, but I think that was really good. I actually want to give you kudos for that. Like, part of writing is just writing. And I'm saying this as a professional writer. I've been writing for a very long time. Like, getting something down on the page is important. That's nothing to be ashamed about. Like, our first drafts, a lot of time, even the professionals, they're not necessarily things that we're going to show people. They're not necessarily things that we're super excited about, but you wrote it down. You took a step. And we talk about that in the book. Yeah. You took a baby step. You took a small step. Like, that's actually really good. I think what you did was great.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
So tell me, how do you approach writing for diverse audiences?
Oh, this is a good question too. You're really good at this. I actually think, number one, I think that it's really important to have diverse voices in the writing space, in the editorial space. I've been on staff at national publications. I've been on staff at regional, local. You know, I'm a freelancer as well for different outlets. And I think just having people there who have a different lived experience is really helpful, because, you know, we can see different sides of issues maybe that other people might not, whether you're seeing it because you are a woman, whether you're seeing it because you identify as a Latina or a Black person or someone, you know, who's South Asian. Like, you see things differently, and it's a beautiful thing. It's helpful to just even have you there, to have your perspective. I would say for me, if I'm writing for diverse audiences, which I do very often, that's been a big part of my career, like, it's important for me to research as much as I can. If ever I don't understand something, it's important for me to talk to people and like, hey, can you explain this to me from your perspective? We were talking about this before we started filming, like, I speak Spanish, so that's been really helpful. And so, but different words mean different things depending where you are, so it's helpful for me to understand, like, okay, well, when we're talking about this here, this might be a little different than if we're talking about it over here in this country. I just think research is a big part of it. Having compassion for people is a big part of it. Being open to what people tell you is a big part of it. As a writer, and particularly when writing for other people and when helping other writers, what you think matters. Your perspective matters. What you want to accomplish matters. Your vision matters. And I need to be able to hear that. I need to be able to listen. That's a big part of what I do. And I need to be able to sit with that and then work with you in a way that makes you feel comfortable, so Absolutely. That we can get your message out. And so I think it's going in and knowing, and this is important as a writer too, right? If you're out there and you're listening, you don't have all the answers, and you're not supposed to. And other people's perspectives and other people's opinions are really, really important and will help you do the work that you need to do.
Absolutely.
Facts are important too, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you feel like it's a disparity with women of color writing? Do you feel like it's a lot of authors out there that look like us, sound like us, preach like us, or give us, you know, what we need as a sounding board, you know, especially being a woman of color?
I have a couple different thoughts about that, I think. I do know, you know, disparities are very common in a lot of different areas. There are health disparities, for example. We know there are disparities when it comes to income in our country, in the world, globally. I would say historically, you know, women of color, Black women have probably, you know, it's fair to say, have been underrepresented in publishing, particularly when it comes to like working at the publishing houses, just being able to have a seat at the table, having a job, being in positions of power. You know, we may not have been represented as much as we could have been, right? And I think that's where self-publishing has come in really handy for a lot of people, because, you know, people are saying, okay, well, if you don't want to buy my book, I'll put it out myself.
Right.
If you don't, you know, think that my story is valid, and this can happen with fiction, nonfiction, if there are people in publishing houses, and publishing houses are wonderful, right? We've gotten a lot of great work, so this is nothing bad about them. But, you know, for people who have these stories to tell, and if people in publishing don't get it, they're like, okay, well, you don't get it, I can do it myself. And so in that regard, I think with the advent of self-publishing, we might be making up more ground. But of course, yeah, there are some disparities for sure. Like we have definitely work to be done when it comes to women of color, Black women in particular, in publishing. There's still more that we could do.
Do you have any advice for women who feel like, oh, they're not going to listen to me, they're not going to hear me, I'm not going to be able to write this book, I'm just this woman of color with this dream and this hope?
I do, and I think you do too. So I'm gonna flip it back to you. My little interviewer personality is taking over, because I know you have an answer to this, because you're so wise in this area. But yeah, I would say, like, fix your mindset on that. Like, don't limit yourself before you run the race. And this goes for everything in life, which is why I think writing coaching can be so helpful, right? Because, you know, on one hand, people are like, oh, I know I'm smart. But like you said, when it comes to writing, all of a sudden they're talking themselves out of opportunities. And why are you doing that?
Right.
Would you do that in other areas of your life? And if you would, then maybe we can work on these other areas too. But with writing, you definitely shouldn't talk yourself out. So I would say get your mind right. And you can speak to this for sure. Like, do some affirmations. Really, like, do some positive self-talk. If you're having issues that go back, and I want you to talk about this, so I'll pause right here. But if you're having issues that are actually deeper, because this like the way that our minds work can actually, you know, be traced back to childhood, obviously. Like, there can be trauma. Like, this might be something you want to talk to a professional about if it's really serious, and I'll let you cut in here, because don't talk yourself out of something that can be great for you.
That's true, but that's the easy way.
Okay, let's hear it.
You know, talking yourself out of it is that's the easy way, so I don't have to worry about disappointment. So if I don't want to be disappointed, you know, on the back end, then I just won't do it on the front end. So therefore, I'm going to talk myself out of it, and I'm going to say all the things and the reasons why I should not do it, because now I don't have to worry about getting hurt. So,
and we do it. You're right. We do it all the time.
And that is a trauma response. That is, and it's also a protective response too, when we want to try to protect us, and we haven't been taught healthy ways of protecting us. We tend to go inwardly negatively first. That's just like placing guilt and blame on ourselves, besides placing guilt and blame on the area that it has come from.
And so I think this is interesting, because on one hand, you know, it's very easy for people, and this is why I'm so glad I'm on your podcast. It's so easy for people to say, oh, you can do it, it's fine. Just tell yourself you can do it. Well, in some cases you can. In some cases you might just need a, you know, writing coach like me. We'll talk through everything and it's fine. But in another case, if this is really a struggle for you and you're finding like, wait, I tend to have imposter syndrome in a lot of areas of my life. Maybe this is something deeper that you need to work through, so that when you do tell your story, it's the right story. It's the story you want to tell, and you can sort of get rid of some of this fear. I'm not going to say all the fear will go on, because writing can be very scary, right? But you can kind of modulate some of it.
Well, we all know fear is false evidence appearing real. So, you know, fear is what you fail to do for yourself. So if you don't push yourself out there and attempt to go and do the goals that you have established for yourself, then that fear, you take on that own fear. Yeah. But speaking of writing and putting everything out there, tell me, how do you work with potential authors that may have writer's block or be burnt out? Like, I'm just so tired, I can't write anymore. I have nothing else left up here to write.
We can do different things. So like I said, one thing is that just write something, like, and don't judge it. Like, don't go into it and expect that you're writing some award-winning novel on your first go round. Like, maybe just write a page, maybe just write a paragraph. It depends where you are. Maybe for you, writing a paragraph is amazing, and we can start there. Maybe for you, writing 2 or 3 sentences is amazing. We can start there, because we talk about this. The little steps become the things that add up to the big steps. So I would just say, I would encourage a person to just write something. I would also encourage a person, and remind me if I'm not answering the question fully, to learn. like to learn about some of the things that you need to know as a writer. Like maybe there are some fears around, like maybe you don't feel like you're very strong with grammar, or maybe you don't feel like you're very strong with structure, or maybe you don't understand the genre that you're trying to write for. In that case, you can either read on your own about these things, which is what I did early in my career. When I was starting, I did some, I went to classes, right? Like we learned for other things. We learn how to, hopefully how to be financially responsible. That's another area that I write about. We learn how to be better in relationships, hopefully, right? We worked on your book about that.
Right.
So this is something that you can learn about, whether it's through workshops, whether it's through reading. There are a lot of free resources. Or maybe you want to speed up the process and hire a writing coach, or hire somebody that can just help you one-on-one and kind of give you some structure. Because I think sometimes people lack, and tell me what you think. I think sometimes the structure can be an issue for people. Like they're like, okay, I feel like I have something here, but I don't really know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And so think of it like the way people hire personal trainers. You could go to the gym and you could use all the different machines and, you could figure it out. Or you could hire a personal trainer who can direct you to do this, for this amount of time. And now you have a program that actually works. So it just depends on, what they're willing to invest in.
So pretty much research and investing in yourself.
And starting.
Yeah.
And taking some sort of step for sure. Yeah. And
Slow
learning. One more thing. I think when it comes to writing, and a lot of writers will say this, and this is true. If you want to be a writer, it helps you to read. And, because when you read, you learn things. When you read, you learn about structure. When you read, you learn about how to phrase things better, or what kind of language works or doesn't work, or what you like and don't like. So read as well. Yeah. Yeah.
That is so great. That is so great. Reading is fundamental too. So what advice do you have for writers who are trying to, just break into the health and wellness arena? They're just trying to, write to other readers about the importance of health and wellness.
All right, so I'm going to go back to what I said earlier because I'm very passionate about this. Please know what you're talking about. And I'm not trying to be funny. Like, I'm kind of laughing, but I'm not trying to. Like, health and wellness, like, these are, in some cases, very life or death topics. And I write about health a lot, and I take it very seriously, right? Like, some of the things we talk about when it comes to, if we're talking, let's say, even about, like, medication or food interactions or exercise and what to do and not do, like, people can get hurt if you don't know what you're talking about. And when it comes to relationships, if you're giving advice that is not sound, you can hurt people. So first thing, I wasn't planning to say this, but please know what you're talking about. Like, please base what you're saying on facts. Please review the literature. Please take your responsibility very seriously. Other than that, assuming that your facts are right, assuming that your heart's in the right place, you want to read, same thing. You want to read again in this space. You want to have an idea of where you would like to write. Right? Like, so is your question for people who want to write books in this space, or articles, like magazine
Just in
articles,
general,
or
anyone
everything?
who wants their message to be heard.
Yeah.
Anyone who, no matter, what area,
Okay.
whether it's books, blogging, articles on
Got it.
Instagram, Facebook, or what have you, anyone who wants to, I have something to say.
Yeah.
And I want other people to hear what I have to say.
Okay.
But I think what you spoke on is very important, because you got to be a factual writer.
Yeah.
You have to be credible, and you can't put things out there to hurt people, especially in my area of expertise, because you could be sued. You could be brought up on the board, and they can make complaints about you, and they can investigate you. So if you're in this, arena, and you are a licensed professional such as myself, you have to be careful about the things that you put out there, and you have to be a fact writer if you, want to go down this road.
Yeah.
I
have one more.
Okay, go ahead.
I have one more. As writers too, we're expected to know what we're writing about, but it's also okay. This goes back to asking for help, right? Especially when you're writing for articles, you're interviewing experts as well, right? So it's also important, I would say, if you're coming at this from an article perspective, or if you're collaborating with someone, just make sure that you have good collaborators who can help you as well. Good collaborators who also know their stuff. But I'm so glad you said what you said, because you're right about the licensing.
Yes.
And it's so important.
Yeah,
it's so important.
You have to write ethically and factually. That's just the bottom line.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, as you helped me write this amazing book, tell me, how did you help me refine the concept of you are stuck and you don't know it? How did that come about when you were helping me do this?
Well, I love your idea for this book. I mean, you're so smart and you're so good at what you do, and you're so good at knowing how you can help people. So I thought that was a good place for us to start from. I would say, and you tell me if you agree, I would say how I was helpful is kind of what you said earlier, that I talked to you. We spent a lot of time together. I interview people for a living, so I kind of know like what questions to ask, and you yourself, you ask questions as a part of your sessions, I'm sure. And so I think between the two of us, we were able to ask each other the right questions, and we also had a level of comfort that I really valued and that I really appreciated, because I do think if you're going to work with somebody as a collaborator, especially for something as personal, as important as a book is, then you want to have like a good working relationship. You want to be able to laugh. Yeah. Like we laughed about stuff, like we made little jokes, like you want to have that. I think that was helpful, right? That we weren't just like, hello, I have my computer here, and I'm, you know what I mean? Like right. We had very relaxed, but also I think productive sessions. And I think that was helpful. I think that we approached it how you're approaching your podcast, as a conversation, as a conversation that has a goal. We wanted to help people. I know for me, in my career as a writer and all the subjects, like my goal is always to help people. I always want to just give people the best information that they, reliable, factual information, so they can make the best decisions for themselves. And I feel like you have that goal. Yeah. I don't want to speak for you, but
no, absolutely. What I felt, it was comfortable.
Yeah.
And you were able to ask me questions to make my mind think.
Okay.
Because you have a lot of things upstairs that you want to talk about that you don't even know that is there until someone asks you the right question in the right way and start the conversation. It's some key points in the book that I'm not going to mention here that you helped me coin, just in the way that the line of questioning you ask, and where do you think this came from? Where do you think we're going with this? And you guiding me in a way to make me expound upon my thinking inside of a therapy bubble as well as inside of a writing bubble.
Wow. I mean, that really means a lot. Thank you for saying that. And I think I know one of the terms. When you said that, in my mind, I'm like, she's talking about, I'll ask you after. I'm like, I think that's the one she means. No, it was such a pleasure to work with you. And my hope is that the book helps people. I think it will. You've covered a lot of really important things in there. Being stuck and not knowing it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a thing that people are dealing with. And I think getting out of that, like this book can really help people to do that. I'm so proud to have been able to do it with you.
Can you share how we work together to create a flow for the readers of the book?
Yeah. That's a really good question. I will say, I'll just give a little secret. We did do an outline for this book. And I think that was really important because it helped us to figure out like what we wanted to kind of set up, what we wanted to go into. And we kind of talked about what sort of examples we would want to include. So I think that outline really was important as far as setting all this up. So I think that outline was really important as far as like setting up what we wanted to say, what we wanted to accomplish, and then just having really focused discussions to make sure that we were hitting all of those points. And I won't get specific or too specific about our writing process because, we don't have the time and it doesn't really matter. But just the outline was pretty detailed. And so we knew, for example, like we wanted to say A, B, C, and we knew that we wanted to resolve D, E, F, and just making sure that we had that plan. But also allowing ourselves, I think, some space was good too, because I remember at one point, like some things changed, and that was okay. That was okay because it fit, and we had a beginning in mind, a middle, and an end. And I think we worked really well to talk about that and to make it kind of come to life with the plan.
Yeah, because you helped me stay on track with that outline too. And if I colored outside of that outline, all right, Keisha, come on, we got to go back over to this way. This is where we are. You're going over here. So I really thank you for that guidance because I know sometimes I can really color outside of the picture.
But thank you for saying that. I really, you're so nice. Thank you for saying that. But I think that's helpful too, because that's when we sometimes realize like, oh wait, because that term we were talking about, I think it came up during one of those conversations, and it was like immediately I heard you say it, and I'm like, hold on, we need to dig into this deeper, which is why I kind of encourage writers, like, it's okay, like let yourself be creative. If you have a plan, let yourself be creative, because the plan could get better, and it did.
But you got to have a good person that when you do color outside of those pictures, that they're able to put those pieces where it needs to go so it can flow evenly.
You're right about that.
Yeah.
And we have to know too, collaborators, we have to know like, okay, this part isn't actually important. But sometimes too, and this is something maybe that people don't know, sometimes these side conversations are really helpful because they can get you to where you need to go, right? Like you didn't necessarily need to go meander over there to the side, but maybe when you were over there, you found a better route back to where you needed to be. So sometimes they can help move you forward even if you don't use them. Yep. And that is where a good collaborator can come in.
Absolutely. You know, one of the biggest themes inside of the book is self-forgiveness. Tell me, how did you and I collaborate on that chapter to make the readers not feel that it was too heavy or too overwhelming?
Whew, okay. I have some thoughts on this, but actually, I'm going to flip it on you if you don't mind. I kind of would love your therapeutic perspective on this, and then I can give you, if you don't mind, and I can give you some of my thoughts.
Absolutely. So I think one of the things that we really did was make it simple. Made it relatable. So giving the readers the ability to read the book and say, how is this applicable to me? And if it's applicable to me, how do I navigate it so it can fit me so I can figure out this problem? Because we have the ability in the book to write what things you're struggling with and how you can overcome those things. I think we provided a great guide for readers to be able to have aha moments. Like, oh, wow, that makes sense. I didn't know that. And we also gave examples and some situational things that we gave to the readers to make them really be like, oh, I'm not the only one.
Right.
You know, they felt inclusive of and not exclusive of.
Right. Yeah. I love your answer. I could stop. No, I love your answer. I'll answer too. I think those are really good points, and I appreciate that we were able to do that. And I think one thing you said was really important for me when I was working on that is to make it relatable. Like, so many people have struggled with this. I think one thing that I really appreciate about you for this book and your vision is that you're so willing to do some self-disclosure. And everyone isn't, and especially in a therapeutic context. I know some therapists operate where they don't say anything. You don't know anything about them, and that's okay. Again, everyone has their own style. But I think something about you that is helpful to people is that you're willing to share, hey, I've been through this too, right? And so I'll go out on a limb and say, hey, I've had to struggle with that before too. And I think both of us being honest about that with ourselves, it made it more relatable because it's like, okay, I have experienced this, so we know how to write about this and how to talk about this for people. We've come out on the other side of it. And I think that's what made it kind of helpful. And also, just making it clear, I believe as a writer too, like honoring people's experiences. People are entitled to feel however they do. There's no judgment here, right? Like if you're struggling with this, if you did something and you can't forget, there's no judgment here, right? And it depends. I don't know, what everyone believes in. I happen to be a Christian. I think forgiveness is really important.
Absolutely.
And so just being honest about it. Like, look, this is something that people struggle with. Here's what we suggest, what you suggest to get through it. I think that helps, just being open and maybe even a little vulnerable, and also sharing tips that actually work.
Yep, absolutely.
Which you did.
Absolutely. I think being relatable and being vulnerable and speaking your truth, either as a therapist, or an individual, I think readers will get a glimpse into how I came about this book and how it also flowed through me as well.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that you did that.
I appreciate you. I know we're doing these subliminal appreciations, but you really pulled that out of me. Tell me, how do you think we work together and pulling this book together to guide the readers into what we felt the book was trying to represent?
One thing that we didn't talk about is at the end of each chapter, there are questions. that readers can ask themselves. And we also worked at the beginning of the book to provide a guide, right? Like you have a great team around you. And so I think that idea came from someone very lovely on your team who's like, maybe we should kind of explain to them like how to read this book and what to take away from it. And I thought that was a really great idea. So we incorporated that. I think just speaking directly to the reader, like when you read this book, my hope is that you will feel like we are talking to you, like he's just talking to you, like this is for you. So just being very clear, again, we talked about the structure, but like really giving people questions that they can consider, because tell me what you think. Sometimes we don't even know what to think about, right? Sometimes we don't even know what questions to ask ourselves. The whole concept of the book is you're stuck and you don't know it. So we're giving you information so that you can maybe realize, am I stuck? What should I think about? And I think that helps.
Yep. Actually, yes. And it helps where people want to go down that rabbit hole of what if.
Talk about it.
And we talked about that in the book, like stop with the what ifs and think about the what nows.
Right.
And so
there
I
you
think,
go with your quotes. Okay. Maybe say that one more time. That was
stop
a good
with
one.
the what ifs, starts with the what nows.
Yeah.
Because what you tend to do is you overwhelm yourself when you continue to go down a rabbit hole of what if this and what if that and what if this, and you tether emotions to it too much. And so when you tether emotions to things like that too much, you tend to focus on the emotion and not focus on the solution of the problem. Right now, we need to get this solved. We don't need to know what if, what, how, and how much. Let's get it solved. And I think people struggle with that. People struggle with, let's just get to the solution. I don't understand why we have to go around in this circle time and time again just to solve this. If you know 1 + 1 is 2, why are we going to 0 - 1 + 1 to get to 1? Like sometimes you make it harder for yourself. But at the same time, people like living in confusion because that's all they know. You know, and that's something that's trauma informed as well.
And they're used to it.
Yeah. So tell me, how would you, or what would we say to readers who've read the book and they got a knowledge and grasp, reading the book, but they are afraid or don't know how to apply the lessons that we spoke about in the book for it to work for them?
Yeah, I would say really allow yourself to sit with it. I don't think this is a book that you need to rush through reading, right? Like, I don't think this is a book where you need to read it in 2 days and feel like, oh, okay, I'm self-actualized now. I got this and I can take action right now. This is a process. This is a helpful tool, I hope, for people. But I would say let yourself sit with it. Let yourself digest it. Take notes. We talk about this. Like, journaling is so helpful. Like, as you're reading the book, even, and if you feel overwhelmed, like, take a pause and write down, like, okay, what am I feeling right now? How do I think about this? What is the solution that I might have? I think just giving yourself grace is one thing that'll be really important as people read, and after people read, just give yourself grace, give yourself time to digest it. We don't understand things immediately all the time. This is something, if you're stuck out there, you could have been stuck for years, right? And so don't think that you need to rush out of it just because you finished this wonderful book by you. And that I got to work on. Don't think that you need to rush out of it immediately. Give yourself grace, sit with it, reread passages if you want to. The book, it's great if you read it in order, and we tried to make it make sense in order and have a plan, but maybe you want to reread chapter 3. Yep. Maybe you want to go back and look at some paragraphs in chapter 2 that you thought were helpful. That's fine.
And maybe you just might want to set it aside, walk away from it, think about some of the things that you read, and then come back to it. Sometimes when if it becomes too overwhelming or too much for you to absorb, let me just set it to the side for a minute and let me think about and monitor what's going on with me and my feelings in reference to this book. Clear my mind and go back to it, and let me reread that chapter one more time, because it was something about that chapter that pulled something in me. That's what they have to be in awareness of. If you feel like something in this book have pulled from you, that's important for you to notate.
That's so well said. And I would say too, if you feel sad or when you're reading, because I hope that you'll feel empowered and joyful and like there are solutions, but you might feel some things that you weren't expecting, and that's that is okay.
Yep. And that's why we got pages so you to write those things down so you can
Yeah.
come back and reference them.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you so much for coming to my podcast, for helping me with this book, just for being such an instrumental part in making you're stuck and you don't know what happened. So if someone wanted to write a book or if someone wanted your expertise or your help, how could they contact you?
Well, I have to say first, you're right. This is like a whirlwind of appreciation because I appreciate you so much for trusting me. I know that we covered a lot of topics, and I appreciate that you did that, and you were such a great collaborator and so full of great ideas, and this has really been a joy for me, so thank you.
Thank you.
You have such great advice that I really hope people will consider. But how can they reach me? Well, thank you for asking. If people want to reach me, definitely go to my website. It's my name, www.lesliequander.com. Actually, you don't even really need the www. So just lesliequander.com. I trust that our team members will put that up maybe. I'm also really available via email. So I'm leslie@lesliequander.com. And then I'm on all the social channels pretty much as Leslie Quander if you want to follow along with me. Hopefully by the time this airs, I will be doing better at updating my channels. But you can reach me there no matter what. And yeah, website is great. And it's always, I usually say too, if people want to reach me or they have a consulting query or a coaching query, like just email me and put that in the subject line. Like coaching question or book question. Just let me know like what it's about.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a part of Heights of Healing. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.